All right, Ray. How you doing,
Hey,
sir?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Good, thank you. Good. All right, hey everybody, here live with my buddy Ray Higdon. We went to high school together. We can talk about that. We went to high school together.
Best
Go
high school.
Tritons. What's that?
Best high school. Go Tritons.
Ever. Loser Seahawks over there in the Cape.
That's
Um, but
still accredited? Is that still an accredited? I didn't know
no,
they changed that.
no, no, it got shut down. FBI
Yeah.
took it down a while
Yeah.
ago. Um, but I wanted to bring Ray on, you guys. I'm going to share this in a couple of spots here real quick. But
Okay.
I wanted to bring Ray on because of what's going on now in our economy. And, Ray is it's funny, when I say about age, I'm always like, because we went to high school together, it's like he's one grade younger than me, So, like, pretty much we're the same age. Once you get over like 35, we're the same.
Much younger.
Admit it. You're younger. And I hate your hairline. I won't lie to you, dude. You got a full head of hair. I think I said this last time we talked. I don't like it.
That's a Zoom filter. I use a Zoom filter. Like if you see me in person, it's like, whoa.
I need to get one of those filters. But I wanted to bring you on to talk about that economy that you and I both went through, which
Sure.
was 2007, 2008 mortgage real estate meltdown. You and I both went through it, and I know I learned a ton from it.
Yeah.
About business myself and everything else, and I know you did too. And so I thought it'd be cool, man, to talk about what you learned from that time frame and was able to carry it over into this one, for the current financial crisis we have going on, because that's what this is.
Yeah.
And so, but before you do that, man, you mind telling everyone just your real quick story if they don't know it? Are you okay doing that?
Sure. Name is Ray Higdon, and I had worked my way up in the corporate world to a pretty decent salary, and I just didn't like, the harder I worked, the more they would pay me, which that's nice. Not all jobs are like that, but also the more they would demand of me. So I was working a lot of hours. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. And so in 2004, I decided that I was going to shift gears. And so I started studying real estate and left the corporate world in 2005, like perfect timing, right? And what could go wrong? And here in Southwest Florida, so I was living in Naples at the time, but working real estate. I did get my mortgage license, was doing loans. Me and a buddy were buying rental properties in mainly East Fort Myers. And so we're trying to build up a real estate portfolio, that cash flowing properties. And in the meantime was also, flipping some properties. And honestly, man, I thought it was amazing, like just making so much, making lots of money. I wasn't the smartest. It was just like everybody was making money. And so it was great. And so when the market changed, there's definitely some things that, that I learned. I ended up pivoting after losing it all throughout 2008, which I will talk about. I ended up going into a network marketing company, which to be honest, I'd kind of sworn off. I didn't want to do network marketing, but my credit shot, no one's hiring, and I had no money. So I put it on a credit card and started that journey, and did become the #1 income earner in that company. And now my wife and I, we coach and train mainly that profession. We do speak at other events and things like that aren't network marketing specific, like, funnel hacking, or there's a few other events that we speak at or whatever. But some of the lessons were just really, really powerful. Looking back, I'm weirdly grateful for it because it humbled me. I was really cocky back then. I thought I could do no wrong. And I hadn't been humbled in that way. And so it was very, very good for me to better appreciate money and better appreciate, I think, people, too, to be honest, because I was arrogant. And so I needed those lessons. And now, we coach and train people, which is an interesting time for that, because there's a lot of people that are legally mandated to stay at home, have also lost their jobs and income, are actually looking for ways to make money. So we've been helping a lot of people with navigating the home business network marketing world. And a lot of our members and clients are actually doing really well right now because so many people are looking for alternative ways to make money. So
right.
My story.
Yeah. Would you, not to put you on the spot, if you don't want to do it, don't do it, but about income? I mean, like, I think it's kind of important, like how, because, you know, what you've done, man. And I'm super proud of you, know you.
Yeah, thanks. You know, we got recognized a couple of years ago. I'm redoing my office, so this happens to be sitting here. I don't just pull this out on every Zoom I ever do, I promise. But a few years ago, we got recognized on the Inc. 5000, one of the fastest growing companies. And in the last, I don't know, I think we've now generated a little bit over maybe 30 million online. And so, you know, it's become a much more fun business. And so it's been cool. I mean, and we had our own hits. I mean, you know, like I do a lot of speaking events. So, you know, when the coronavirus came up, I mean, I had 7, you know, high ticket events all cancel in a row. And if I was solely relying on speaking, that definitely would have been very, very harmful. Still hurt, but, you know, wasn't, you know, devastating. So.
Gotcha. I got to pause. We got Dante Hutchins, who from Mariner High School.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and he was dogging me yesterday on a live. He ragging on my forehead. Now he's going after you. Said you had, yeah, he maybe had the biggest helmet out there. He said you're a smart dude. So he remembers you.
I think that's a compliment to me, Tim. I think
it is. Yeah, I would take it as a compliment. Yeah. So, you know, with going through 08 and then seeing this hit, what do you think the differences are in your opinion? And we talked briefly before we got on here about like, hey, you already went through 08, so you're a little more battle tested, right? Like you're kind of like, okay, sure. here we go. But like, what are some of the things you took into this that you're seeing now?
So I really see 2 different questions there. There's one of what's the difference, and then there's one of what's the difference in my reaction.
Okay.
So
yeah. Good.
Which one do you want first?
Whichever one you want.
Okay. So the difference is, at least that I see, is, you know, in 2008, obviously a lot of people were affected, and we all, at some point, and some of us, me included, denied it for too long. We assumed that it would, you know, it's going to bounce back. Like you'd read, you know, positive news, you know, and you would hope the market makes a comeback, and you're like, yeah, never happened, right? And so so back then, at some point, you succumb to the idea that it's going to be years in the making. That it's going to be okay. We're just going to be duking it out in this economy for years, and so you kind of accepted that. Now it's a big unknown. We don't know. I mean, I think there's a couple different camps, and you know, some people feel like, you know, we should be locking down, you know, more, and some feel like it's a little overreaction. And I think the main thing, you know, I saw someone on Twitter, I loved it. Someone on Twitter posted, hey, lunatics, it's not a question of save your grandma or save the economy. You know, let's all calm down. Let's try to be reasonable here. Right. And I really like that comment, because some people are so, I think, built up angst and, you know, like upset and stressed and whatever, that they're wanting to lash out at anyone with an opposing opinion. And it's just like, hey, you know, at the end of the day, we would like businesses that we love to stay in business, and we would also like to save lives, and let's, you know, whatever.
Let's try to find a way to do both. You mean?
What's that?
Let's try to find a way to maybe do both.
Yeah. You know,
without yelling at each other and calling each other evil, and
that doesn't help. And so, but there is what I see a distinct difference between now and then is when you were really depressed back in 2008, you could at least go to the bar. And, you know, now no bar. And so if you look at who's affected and how quickly, I mean, this is like very different, because I mean, so many waiters, waitresses, bartenders, personal trainers, hotel managers, flight attendants, event planners, event managers, musicians, athletes, like there's so many people that are affected so quickly that it's, it's wild. It really is wild. And so a lot, like I know I was talking to our event planner last week, and she's been in this game for, 20 years or whatever. And she goes, 2008, yeah, there was, it was a little rough, but it wasn't crazy. And she's like, this is crazy. So like the World Marriott, which I believe either still is the #1 largest Marriott in the world, or up there at least. They were at 6% occupancy, so they just closed their doors. I mean, you're talking about thousands of employees. That's one hotel. And so, and none of these people are being told, hey, you're going to get paid, not going to get paid. No one knows, right? And so there's a lot of people that I think much faster than 2008, and in a much larger number, have come to the realization of how financially fragile they were. And it's not their fault, but that, you got, two camps in there. One is, I hope the government bails me out, which isn't going to happen. And then the other people that are like, man, maybe I need to do something else. And so I just see it. It's a weird time for sure. And my heart goes out to, I look at some of my friends that own local businesses that are just like, hey guys, help spread the word. I mean, they're trying to stay afloat, but if you didn't have a social media presence before this, you may just be wiped out. I mean, I'm serious, like depending on whatever kind of business you had, I mean, it's almost like if you didn't have social media, if you didn't have any kind of online approach, you're statistically probably just, you got an uphill battle for sure. And so like, that's, how can we help these people? And because obviously we hate seeing so many people hurt, man, it's crazy.
Yeah. A good point about the social media thing, because, looking back at when 08 happened, we really, Facebook, Twitter, all this stuff really wasn't jamming, like it wasn't a big thing either. And you mentioned about people they just go to the bar, like back then. And now it's been pretty wild to watch it play out on social media, and you just see and sense the fear, the angst, anxiety, like going on out there, and the anger on both sides of it. It's pretty wild to watch. Sad, you're right, man. And it was a snap of a finger, like it almost, sure. Like I hate to say like Thanos, the Avengers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of like what it was. All of a sudden, like boom, they're off. No restaurants, all that stuff you just talked about. So going through both of those, or I shouldn't say going through both. I mean, we're not through this yet.
Sure.
But what are some of the pieces of advice that if someone's watching this, like in my mind, there's probably two camps that may be watching this. It's someone that has lost their job, right? Like hurting, upset, scared, etc. And there's probably another camp that's like, hey, I still got my job, but my eyes are open. Like I see what's out there. I see how fragile this is and how quick it can go away. Yeah. So I'd be curious. Let's start with the person that is watching now that's out of the job and struggling. What are some advice? What's some advice you'd give them to help them make it through this?
Yeah. And I'll also share the differences in reaction too, because I realized I didn't share that. And there's probably some business owners that would watch your stuff, so I want to help them with that too. So I look at, like, I did everything wrong in 2008. Like I had, if you had a blueprint of, okay, here's what not to do, I probably check every box. So I continued to, pay, every bill, like it was, keep doing all the same, every single, like my expenses from, throughout this entire thing basically were pretty much the same until they all stopped and I couldn't pay any of them. And so one of our, we have several business coaches, and one thing that's very common, if you talk to people who've been through, tough times and something, for business owners, the not being aware and not being flexible to evaluate and cut expenses quickly is your number one mistake. And so had I reacted faster, evaluated expenses, then, that would have made a whole lot more sense. And optimistic that things would come back versus try to create a new solution. So for, I mean, probably a good year and a half, I'm just like, hey, I hope it gets better. And that didn't make anything get better. And so that just wasn't very smart. And so I would say if I've lost a job right now, I would be looking for a solution. I would be looking for, okay, I may or may not get it back. Okay. But what can I do to make extra money right now? And, and obviously you got some limitations, but the biggest limitation is really your creativity. And so like, obviously, we have a lot of friends that are in network marketing. That is a very valid option. I mean, it's what turned my life around and helped it's what my career is based on. Not everyone likes it. Some people have a bad stigma about it, whatever. I mean, it's, you just have to show people, hey, you open and take a look at this thing, and they either are or they aren't. You don't have to invent anything. You don't have to, invest a whole bunch of money. You don't have to, have trademark attorneys, supply chain management, human resources, any of that stuff. It's just kind of there. And you can, I know people that make millions of dollars a year off, from a network marketing company. So that's one option, not your only option, right? You could right now look at the marketplace, and this is what I define as an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who identifies a problem and solves it at a profit. And there's nothing wrong. If you think there's something wrong with a profit, then you don't understand, business. You can do whatever you want with your profit, but it's okay to be a profitable company. It's what keeps you around and able to impact more people and help more people. And so I'll give you one example that I thought of, which is, right now, you have a lot of restaurants that are obviously, closed, but they're doing takeout. But if they didn't have a social media presence or they didn't have an online presence, probably no one's going there. And so you could actually come up with a service where you help these restaurants get more traffic. You help these restaurants get better positioned on social media, and that could really help them and help a lot of restaurants. You could come up with, different methods and creative methods. Like I heard I forget the name of it, but there's a restaurant in, I think Frisco, Texas, that every day they have a special meal that you can go and pick up, go home and actually make it yourself. And it's comprised of all these, it's got real nice recipes and everything. And they've been sold out every single day. And so like getting creative, right? What can you do to help move gift cards right now? I saw a restaurant in New York that was, I think if you bought them for $50 after June, they're worth $100 or something like that. And so like, what are problems in the marketplace that you might be able to help with? So that's, I would attempt to find solutions. I would attempt to find what are some ways that you can make some extra money right now. And just, I think it's very powerful if you're in a job to have a plan B, have some kind of side business, have some kind of side, income, in case something, crazy does happen. As far as the people that, have a job, eyes are opened, maybe not so, financially affected, I would be, how can you help out some of the people that are? So, for example, I'll give a shout out, my buddy, Paul. Paul Thomason, he has his company is Clean Streaks here in Southwest Florida, and he owns a window washing company, and he also does pressure washing. Well, he went from packed days every single day to zero, nothing. And so, I'm like, hey man, can I get you to come out and pressure wash the dock? And so like looking to how can those that aren't so affected, how can you pump some, some money and help some people out, over tipping the Uber Eats driver, doing things where you're able to, help out some of these guys that are hurting. And businesses, my big advice is, like I said before, is you gotta look at those expenses. You gotta look at them quick. The two biggest mistakes that I made in 2008, one, I did a lot of advertising, but I didn't know what worked. So I had, pharmacy bags, I had direct mail, I had Google AdWords, I had all this different stuff, but I didn't know what was actually working. And so when you don't know what anything is working, you just cut it all, which isn't the smartest idea. And so if you are doing advertising where you're paying money to, market your business, then you really need to know where is your actual money coming from, where are the transactions coming from. And so, like, for example, we look at, we spend a good amount on Facebook ads. We spend about $100,000 a month on Facebook ads, but some of that is for branding long-term. Some of it is profitable. You put $1 in, you make $2. And so we have definitely scaled back at least for now, some of the longer term stuff. But one thing we noticed is a lot of our competitors are cutting their ads. So our ads are actually cheaper now. And so the ads are, those who are able to weather the storm and understand tracking can actually do really, really well in ads right now, to help more people, help more of their customers, and maintain their business. And then the second thing is looking at those expenses. So, we don't know. I mean, we believe we'll be fine, but don't believe that, or believe that, maybe I need to be overly cautious right now. So one of the first things we did was look at our expenses. What are the big expenses? What are the big, checks going out? And we actually did successfully negotiate, 3 different large payments to spread them out over longer time, just to give us a little bit of breathing room, just in case. And we hope 2 months, 3 months from now that was totally overly cautious, but I'd rather be overly cautious than, blow all the money, right? To blow all the cash. Right. And so that would be some of my suggestions.
Yeah. Do you have any other hopes that you think the average American takes out of, this whole coronavirus? Like anything you hope that we as a country maybe learn?
Yeah. I think one, and I don't know if there's anyone left that doesn't understand this anymore, but understand that the media is a for-profit industry, and they're not for you. They are to get traffic and get eyeballs. And to do that, they have to be negative. So you're not hearing about, Officer O'Leary saving the cat from a tree. You're hearing about how many are dying or how many projected to die. And it's just, it is negative. It is so negative. It's exactly what what we don't need. And then they go so far to, use fake information. It came out today that, CBS was showing clips of a hospital in Italy claiming that it was in New York. And it's just like, we don't need that crap, man. And so just understand that I think people would be much better off if, if you got to find out if Publix is open, find out if Publix is open. Don't watch the media. I really don't think you should watch that. If you need to know something, then go find it out. Google it. You'll find it in 2 seconds. But, this obsessive, consumption of the media has an effect on you. It has an effect on your creativity, has an effect on your productivity. If we're to believe the media and that all hope is lost, then we're just going to curl up in a little fetal position and cry ourselves to sleep. There's still that American spirit of, obviously in the US, there's that American spirit of, this too shall pass. We will overcome this. We bounce back stronger from 2008, bounce back stronger from 9/11, and we can bounce back stronger from this. The length of time it's going to take, I think, is, how much do you believe that you can make a difference, that you can make an impact. And so hopefully more people will not be so consuming of the media and not be so ready to battle it out with those of differing opinions. I can read an opinion that's different than mine and not actually argue, believe it or not. It's an uncanny ability. It's amazing. And it grants me a lot of peace because it's a waste of damn time. You trying to convince someone, like you trying to change someone politically on social media, they're not the moron because you're just wasting time. You got too much time on your hands. Go do something productive. Instead of arguing, just go build a table and try to sell it or something. Like, go do something productive. Go do some push-ups or pull-ups. And so, people waste way too much time arguing.
Well, and then you also, so like that's been going on for a while, and I'm glad you brought up the media, and it's twofold almost, to whereas if it bleeds, it leads for them. They want doom and gloom, like you said, but the issue for them is like, yay, you got your eyeballs right now, but what are all your advertisers going to do now? You're like, are they going to have you the money to give you now? Like, they need a wake up call, man, for like to walk the line a little bit on ruining economies.
Yeah.
Compared to just reporting the news,
Right. Yep.
So I mean, this is just one thing. The other thing is, man, next year, if they try to turn flu season into hurricane season, to where for the entire world, searching for that one little new virus from some little place in Africa that like that's, that's what's
you're
gonna
right, man. You're right. That is unfortunately, because they're high as a kite right now, man. They're getting their lick. And so, they're going to want that lick next year too. And unfortunately, they're probably going to find it, and we'll probably, do something crazy. And this isn't making light of it. I know it sucks. I know it's, terrible. But to crush millions of employees and millions of businesses, I don't think it's the smartest decision, personally.
Yeah, neither one of us are making light of it. This has been ongoing, the reaction stuff. If it's not this, it's something else. It's like over and over and over again. So with this, excuse me, with the coronavirus here, I've really noticed a lot of things I think that's coming up, and that's the way people do business. And I'm not talking about like the social distancing type of aspect, but like what industries do you think from this? And I'm mainly talking about remote. Like there's gonna be a lot of employees, a lot of businesses that are like, why are we renting this space? Like you guys can all do this from your house. Like I'm curious, what do you think business is gonna look like when this is all said and done?
Well, I think, because I used to like the idea of owning an office and having that, traditional kind of thing. We don't have an office. I mean, I work out of my home. All of my employees are virtual. We have people in Canada, California, Colorado, throughout Florida and Texas and a few other places. And so, I think there's a great book out there. I think it's Jason Fried, called Remote. And so I think people should be much wiser, because you can be leaner and still create an atmosphere of camaraderie. So I look at our team. So we actually meet. So they're all virtual. None of us see each other. None of us bring Susie the birthday cake, right, and consume it in the break room, right? We don't have that. We don't have that phenomenon. But every day, Monday through Friday, we jump on a team huddle for 15 minutes and we go through what's one thing you're grateful for, what's your number one priority, do you have any stucks? And so we go through on a Zoom, getting all together. We've been doing this for years. And so, and then we come together, execs come together once a quarter, and then everyone comes together for the Christmas party. And so we have amazing camaraderie. We have better chemistry than I would say most offices. And we just have an amazing organization of really, really cool people. And so I definitely think more and more people are going to be looking at that model, if they can. And there's a lot of offices that could totally operate remotely. It's either an ego thing or a scare thing, like, oh, I'm nervous. Well, what if I don't have an office? Well, I think you're going to see that get more and more attractive. And it was always attractive to, once I kind of understood it, it was always attractive to me, because I mean, it's less driving, less cost and expense and, whatever. But I definitely think more and more people will be embracing that.
Yeah, I do too, man. Well, dude, you got anything else to add?
I would just say, I think focus on a solution and versus just play the hope game, which is what I did. I was just hoping that the market would come back and everything would go back to normal, and it didn't. I will point out one thing though. If you didn't have to pull out money in 2008, you made money, right? If you held your real estate from 2008, you made money. The market actually overall is actually up since then. It's always the people that have to pull out their money out of stocks or whatever else that end up getting hurt, unfortunately. And so, I still believe in the long-term, market. I believe in the long-term, even real estate. I believe in all that. And so, I would not, pull money out and think hoarding is the right idea, because that, I don't think it is. That's just going to cause, more of a problem than less. And just believe in your ability to get through this, but focusing on a solution. What can I do? What can I do to make extra money? What can I do to make this business stronger? And if you're a business owner, have those tough conversations that you've been putting off, and ask yourself, okay, do we need this expense here? Do we need to have, these, whatever that is in your business? And, smarter businesses will definitely survive this, no problem. I believe, my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, the one thing, well, a couple of things real quick. I just like to throw out there to everyone, carry some reserves. You've got to have money socked away for your personal account for a rainy day, minimum 2 months of living expenses, try to get up to 6 months. That's something that I see a lot. Credit card debt, get out of it. Once this is over with and done. And then if you're sitting there watching this, or you're in quarantine, you can't work or whatever, do things to get yourself better.
For sure.
This is, you got a moment here to really better yourself, better your business, work on database management or your social media, whatever it is, man. But
or learn the saxophone. I mean, whatever.
Seriously, no joke. Yeah.
Do something you've been putting off. And one thing I threw out to our members that we work with is be able to answer this question powerfully. How did you grow or improve during the quarantine? If you can't answer that with anything, even personally, I learned the harmonica, or I learned Spanish, or I grew a side business, or whatever. If you can't answer that powerfully, then that's a real bummer, because you do have more time. And I know that some of us with, kids home, the whole time now, it's a different time, but you still do have, some time. And, all of my travel was canceled. So I'm home much more than I would be normally. And so how are you utilizing it? What are you doing?
Amen, dude. Hey, so if anyone wants to learn more about you, Ray, where can they? I know you're everywhere, dude. So where do you want them to be pointed to follow you, man, to keep up with you?
Yeah, I mean, you just search, Ray Higdon on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Ray Higdon page. Yeah, you can find stuff there.
Okay, I'll put your link in the bio too there. So, and shout out to Jared Duggar here, Jeremy Lau. Thanks, guys, for the shout out. I got my buddy Mike on here saying I look like my dad, except I'm bald. So appreciate that, Mike.
Great crowd.
lot of bald jokes when I go live, bro. It happens. Yeah. It's all right. So Ray, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you. Value your time. You're the best. Follow you, stay in touch with you, and go Tritons, sir.
Yes, Tritons all the way. Appreciate
it,
man.
All right, you need to let me know, okay, buddy? Always here for you.
You got it, man. All right. Bye.